Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Ghosts and Spirits Special Edition video. Well, I mentioned the other day on my community tab that I did another ghost tour, in this case at a place called Old Springs Town, which is just a little bit north, I think, north of Houston. Those of you that live in the Houston area might know what I'm talking about. I've never heard of this town before, but I was there in Houston for a work function, and I decided this would be a fantastic time, especially late at night, to go do this tour. And this was something that it turned out to be really, really well. So those of you that have seen some of my other videos as well from some of my ghost trips, check them out if you haven't had a chance. I've done a bunch of live streams with the group I'm now in called Spectra. Some really, really good stuff there. So if you haven't had a chance, please do so, and you'll see some specific live streams there. This one, I wasn't able to do live stream, but I did take a bunch of pictures. So you're about to see them here. First off, I just wanted to say thank you so much to the investigators that I was with. In fact, you're looking at a picture of them here. They're known as the Belladonna and the Verified Creepy Team. And the two that were there with me were these two ladies. They're Bella and then also Morticia. Both of them very nice. Both of them just absolutely some of the best investigators you could hope for when it comes to any of these tours. Always ready to give answers to any questions. They even had some ghost hunting equipment to use as well. And it was a very nice 3-hour tour. I took the longer tour to make sure that I could try to capture as much good information as possible. So again, if you're there in the Houston area and you have a chance, let's say in the evening, to go on a tour, please take this one. I'm going to post a link for it below too, and that way you'll see the pricing information, everything associated with the directions, where the tour is at, what to expect. It's really, really nice, and it's just part one of so many other tours. I think they have maybe about 6 or 7 other different tours, each one tailored to different parts of the Houston, Old Springs town, and I think there's one more town as well. So again, thank you so much, Bella. Thank you so much, Morticia, for the very, very nice tour that I took. Now let's go ahead and let's start with the information on the tour itself. So this was the first place that we stopped by, which was the starting point, where I took my car to. This is a home that apparently houses some pretty, I guess, not large amount of spirits, but still some spirits in there. I'm trying to remember all this information from a few days back, by the way, so I may get a couple of bits of information wrong, but otherwise I'll try to see if I can remember the most. But yes, this home houses some spirits, including a spirit box. By the way, do you see that lion right there at the front? That lion is supposed to help guard the spirits, to keep them, I guess, from wandering out. There's a duplicate lion just on the right hand side as well. But yes, indeed, if you zoom in, like in this case too, the top room, the second floor, the one on the corner, that's where you see the doorway leading to the spirit room. And yes, the way Morticia said, this place houses a lot of activity. The people that live there, the people that work there describe it just happening all the time. By the way, that's another thing too. Old Springs Town, which was surprising to me, it's made up of so many beautiful small shops, like mom and pop shops galore, and everything is just hustling and bustling throughout the business day. But when it shuts down at night, like we were there, there's complete silence. No one is there because there's no businesses open. Everyone closes at a very specific time. Afterward, it is just you and the entire town by yourself. So that was so neat, so amazing to see. So that's why we were able to walk around so many parts of the town undisturbed, in complete silence, just have a very, very good tour just tailored for investigating ghosts or ghost hunting. So that's why, again, I highly recommend this tour if you have a chance. But yes, going back to this home, that spirit room, that's a place where, again, houses a lot of activity. And then I think I caught on this picture, you'll see an orb that might have been right in front of my camera. This is known to happen whenever an orb visits the lens of your camera, and they just are literally right there, right in front of the camera. They create this soft orange glow. The reason they're doing it is because they're trying to block your camera. They're trying to prevent you from taking pictures. As you can see in some of the other pictures, this does not show up. within the rest of the pics. So something said hello, essentially, or trying to stop me from taking pictures, but I was still able to take pictures afterward. And then finally, going towards the rest of the town, you'll see some other pictures as we made our travels. I took pictures of some of the homes because they're homes that have been converted essentially to these small mom and pop businesses, trying to see if there's anything that stood out within some of the windows. Nothing really that stood out on some of them, but still, like this one, for example, there were some ghosts that were known to live there on the second floor. It had to do actually with a judge. This judge, this was his home, and for the longest time, he was able to prosecute so many cases. Unfortunately, when his wife died, he went a little bit depressed and started losing his mind, especially due to alcoholism. And it got to the point where it was this. You're looking at the hanging tree. This is a tree that's there also in Old Springstown that's haunted because this judge apparently would hang a lot of people, but in a way that wasn't, I guess, fair, if I could say, because he was losing his mind at the time. So a lot of the cases where he said this person is to be executed may or may not have involved a right, I guess, decision, something where he was of mind when he was doing it. So that's why I was able to take so many pictures of this area. But yes, that judge is supposed to haunt that home by the window as he stares out into the hanging tree. Another place is this one, known as the dugout. There's the ghost of a little girl. Apparently, she lived in that home, specifically in the small, I guess you call it second floor there. Unfortunately, she actually fell out of the second floor window. And when that happened, she essentially didn't die right away, but she became severely injured. Something broke within her, and it was only after a couple weeks later that she passed away. But her ghost is supposed to frequent that window as well as she stares out afterward. And then that way she can, say hello or visit that location, whatever it may be. I did hear, though, a scuffling of a footstep within that area. Again, we were by ourselves. It was us. It was me, Morticia, Bella, and then there was another gentleman named David who was there just watching out for us. But there was nobody else, absolutely nobody. But in that area, I heard the clear sign, the scuffling of a foot, the sound that a shoe makes when, let's say, it gets dragged across the concrete floor. So that was really, really interesting to hear that. So something was making its presence known. Even if I didn't see it, based on all these pictures, I did absolutely hear it as well. And then we did a little bit of communication underneath the hanging tree where we had a flashlight out, not a flashlight, but one of those lights that can turn on and off based on the presence of a ghost. Like the ghost can touch the light and then force it to be brighter or just turn it off outright. And something did say hello in that way. It turned on the light brighter until finally it just turned it off completely, announcing that it was gone thereafter. But yes, those are the pictures. This one right here too also stands out because this one, Morticia, she was stating that she is more sensitive to the presence of ghosts, which I've heard as well on other tours where we have people, I guess you call them empaths, people that have this I guess sixth sense, something that lets them know when a ghost is nearby, and sometimes they can even see the ghost themselves, even though we cannot. But she said that yes, there was a ghost that was nearby her area right here, just saying hello, like just curious about us. That was something I found interesting too, because this has happened multiple times within other tours. It seems like ghosts are almost as curious of us as we are as them. Whenever you make your presence known in a new location, a ghost may come out and say hello just to see who you are. And not like say hello, hello, but in the sense that they'll just come out and watch you just as you're trying to watch or catch them. So it's interesting to hear this again when it comes to these ghosts. And they make their presence just shortly. It takes a lot of energy for a ghost to come out, especially to manifest himself. That's why you hardly ever see that happen. But they do come out, and when they do so in brief periods. And then if you're not interesting enough, then they just go away afterward. But yes, indeed, this ghost also went towards this area because she stated that whoever it was, and she thinks it might have been actually a sheriff one of the old sheriffs of the town, tall gentleman who's been known to frequent this location. He wears a hat as well. This gentleman was there watching us, again, seeing who we were. And she stated he was somewhere around the corner of this gate, kind of like peering over, but then peering back. So that was also very interesting to see. This location here, you'll notice it's interesting because this houses a star of some kind. Like it's a potted star. There's grass on it. There's, I guess, some kind of foliage on it. It was there made specifically to try to help out the ghosts that were there. This town, by the way, is very superstitious. Old Springs town. It was built on Native American land. Yes, indeed. Once I heard that, that definitely piqued my interest. Indians were living there, and they were eventually driven away. And when they did so, apparently there was a curse of some kind placed on the town. And so that's why this town is very, very superstitious, at least in the old days. So there's a lot of remnants of it. One of them is this star that's on the ground, which you can kind of see here. So this star is there supposed to protect the area because there used to be another hanging tree in that town, right there in that spot. Lightning hit it though, and it burned down. Coincidence or something else entirely differently? It's up to you to decide. But when that happened, the town decided to spring up that star to make sure that they could quell whatever was restless within that location. But yes, I took a bunch of pictures there, try to see if anything stood out, but nothing really did. But it was still interesting to hear that history. This post of office that's there too also houses some old ghosts, lots of people that apparently haven't decided to leave even after they're long gone. We next visited this other place, this bank, but this is no longer a bank. Instead, it's a historic location. Small shop, but they still have a lot of the remnants of the old bank. They even have a vault there from the early 1900s, which I wish I could have seen, but again, the place is closed. But the story here is there's a ghost that haunts that location, one of the old workers. She was a teller that unfortunately met her demise within this bank. That's because this bank used to get robbed a lot. There's a train station nearby that would stop, and so a lot of robbers would come off that train and then rob this bank and either hop on the train as it was leaving or just go elsewhere. But either way, they would just come and go, hit it and grab it, and then they would leave. And on one unfortunate circumstance, it involved the death of this teller. So she's supposed to frequent this location there within it. You can even see some of the bullet holes that showcase how much they were robbed, which was really, really interesting to find out too. Next, we visited a burned down saloon, one of the old saloons within this town. I don't know how old it was, but very, very old, run by a guy one of the owners who still visits this location even after his death. This was burned down in 2015, very recently. In fact, you're looking pictures of the inside of it and then also of the outside. And this is because not only does he frequent it, but there's other ghosts as well. Around this corner of the outside bar, people have stated that they hear voices, they hear conversations actually happening while nobody is around. Like whoever they are, they're still trying to enjoy a good set of drinks within the bar itself, even after they've long passed away. The owner is also supposed to frequent that window, the one with the light that's on. That light is there for security purposes, but he's supposed to be there watching out because that was one of his favorite spots, I guess, to see how his business is going. He also had prostitutes that worked for him across the street. So that's why he would continuously peer out the window to make sure that they were doing their business. But then we went to visit some other places nearby too. We went to one of the stairwells where some ghosts frequent there too as well. I didn't really catch anything on that end. So, but yes, people state that they see some form of ghosts or apparitions or mists there too. There's supposed to be some others that hang around the windows as well around the saloon. This is a big saloon too. So here's another picture of it, in this case from one of the glass windows. Inside here, that's where the investigator Morticia stated that there was a ghost hanging around right now at that moment, except once it saw us, it decided to move towards the back. Like it was almost like shy. Like it wanted to say hello, but at the same time, it didn't want to just be that close to us. I tried knocking to see if I could help bring it forward, but then she said that actually moved the ghost even further back. I didn't want to be disturbed at all. Kind of interesting when you hear all this about ghosts, how they have, these human emotions to them. Some of them are frightful and mean, others are more shy, others can be kind. Very, very interesting stuff. This other picture here is also the outside of the other side of the saloon, and you'll see that it's long closed, but those windows that are on the left and the right, those are other spots where ghosts frequent. In fact, they make their shadows known right on those windows as they're peering out. There's a picture that Morticia showed me that and Bella saw as well, that showcased while ghosts were staring out what they saw. So that was really interesting. The next part we went to is right around here by the railway. There's one specific ghost that haunts this location. Remember, I was mentioning earlier how there was a train station stop right there by the bank. This is it right here. There used to be something there that people could get on and off. Now the train just passes through, but there was something else in form of a stop for the public. Well, in any case, there was I think it was a drunk, if I remember her correctly, somebody from the bar that decided to try to outrun the train, or somebody that didn't know the train was there. Either way, they got hit by the train, got decapitated, and of course killed instantly. Afterward, though, this ghost is supposed to haunt this location, specifically the railway, at this spot because it's looking for its head. People that have seen it, even as recently as a few years back, will state that this is a ghost without no head. It's just peering around, I guess as best you could see, like a headless body, try to peer around, trying to find its head. So that is also very fascinating. I wanted to try to investigate this place further, but it's very dangerous. There's still a lot of trains that pass by. Like every 5 minutes there was a train that was passing by, so I don't recommend trying to investigate this spot to try to find this ghost. Next, we went to a place across the street, and this is where I got a really, really great encounter. My second personal encounter with a ghost. This is exciting news. So, look at this picture. That is a grade A orb that I caught on my camera. You can see it. It's streaking. You can even see the perfect circle that makes up the orb. It's not an insect. Clearly, this is something involving an orb. So something was making its presence known, saying hello to us right there. This is why. This building is actually an old, abandoned ice building. Like, it was a place that used to have ice the old-fashioned way. Since people didn't have refrigerators, they would come here to have and grab ice that was being made. Eventually, though, since it was a place that was using freezing components, it was changed to a morgue. So lots of bodies were brought here, and then that's where it gets its hauntings from. Once we went inside, which you're looking at here, that's where I had my personal encounter. The minute we stepped inside, Bella, she caught something. Like, she said, oh, I think I caught something, like on her own camera. It was this dark shadow that moved from left to right, from the left-hand corner to the right-hand corner very quickly. I did not catch it because I was looking at a different direction. But when I turned around, that's when she said that's what occurred. And so I immediately, came over here to the corner to try to find out what's going on. And that's where I had my own personal encounter. She said there was a very strong presence. She said it. Morticia wasn't even going to go inside this place because there was something there. She described it as angry. Like, there was something, not evil, but something that just wasn't happy. And I guess it wasn't happy to have us there at the very same time. I'm, of course, somebody that wants to investigate this stuff, so I was more than happy to go towards this specific corner. And my encounter was this. I felt this very strong buzzing, like, around me, like, especially in my head. Like, it's almost like if you stepped into some strong electrical area, if you call it that, and things were getting dialed up. Like, it was a weird sensation. Never had that sensation before, but at the same time it felt familiar. Like there was, imagine again, like if all of a sudden you were between some very strong power lines and you hear that strong buzzing. That's what was happening inside my head. So whatever was there, whoever this angry spirit was, it was making its presence known. I was right next to it. In fact, Bella said that she could sense that it's right there, and I was looking around with my hand, saying, right here, and she said, yes, it's right next to you. It's right specifically there. So that was really, really interesting that she was mentioning that, because I felt that strong buzzing before she was even mentioning that afterwards. So this thing was buzzing in and out of the place. It would come and it would go, but I would sense it, and then that's when she said that it was back. So that was the very first time, I'm sorry, the second time that I had a personal connection. First time being there in the Magnolia Hotel when I had a ghost touch the left shoulder very lightly in a cold manner to make her presence known. This would be the second time. And then the ghost left. Whoever it was that was there left. The buzzing it left. I could sense that it left. And then at the very same time, Morticia said it's gone. And then so did Bella. So this was something strong enough. Me, in my case, like, I'm someone that it takes a lot. I don't know why, but ghosts can make their presence known very easily to others. Me, it takes a lot. And so this thing was strong enough to make its presence known to me, and all three of us knew when it just pretty much left afterward. And the proof was I went back to that same spot multiple times and then could sense nothing. I did capture this too, but I think this is more of an insect or set of insects. You notice how it looks different from the other picture, more thinner when it comes to the streak, and it looks more varied. I guess you could call it more liquid. So I think this is more something of an insect. I don't think these are orbs, but either way, the other one was definitely an orb. Next, we visited another location. In this case, this was an area across the street. And this one, Morticia had a fascinating experience. She had all of a sudden a sensation, like she stopped while she was in mid conversation, and then she started to take a couple deep breaths, and she was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And as she stated afterward, what had happened was there was a spirit of a woman who just walked around, who just walked into that area straight towards that pathway and right through her. She stated it was the spirit of an old black woman, not a slave, but someone that used to live there in that town. And she was sad. Like the spirit was just wandering around almost endlessly, and we just happened to catch it during that very moment. And so I was investigating the rest of the area, trying to see if I could find something related to it. You'll see some of my pictures around it too. Morticia again got the sense that this is a ghost that just aimlessly wanders around in a circle, and during one of those I guess times, we just happened to catch it, like she sensed it while it was there. Unfortunately, I could not capture anything that showed any footage, but it was very interesting to find that happening to Morticia, to experience that, because I was standing right next to her when it occurred. Next place we visited was one of the bad places, because this is a spirit that's there, that's one of the evil ones. Remember, I was mentioning just a minute ago, the other guy, he was angry but not evil. This is the complete opposite side. Like, this was someone that was just outright evil. So if you go to this other place across the street, there's this location there that has our houses like a chapel. Not a chapel, but a place that people can have their weddings and then have a ceremony somewhere around there. Well, there's a home that again is the smallest shop now, and in that home there used to be a guy who preyed on little girls, and eventually he killed one of the little girls, and then he himself, I can't remember if he committed suicide or if he was killed, but either way he ended up dying within his home afterwards. So this was someone that was bad, and he hangs around that area to this day, because one of the little girls also hangs around that location too. In fact, Morticia and Bella both said that this ghost of this evil man, whoever visits that location, if you're female, he'll especially make his presence known, but if you're a little girl, he even does so even more. So he absolutely someone who still preys on women even after his death to these days. But yes, this was a place that has a very bad feeling, a very bad sense. I did not sense anything this time, but both Bella and then Morticia did. They had to even sit down within that little place that houses like a seat to try to recoup themselves, because this is a bad place. They also showed me a picture of the green lady. This was the lady who was murdered here in that location, not by this evil man, but instead by someone else. I think if I remember correctly, he was someone that was jealous of her or wanted to have her, but she was already committed to someone else. something close to that. My apologies, I don't have the exact details, but it was something close to that. But yes, when he was rejected or he couldn't have her, then that's when he killed her, and she died in this spot. And so she makes her presence known within that location to this very day. So you'll have various spirits there at this spot. You have the evil man, the pedophile guy, you have the little girl or little girls. They also make their presence known in a light way, like they'll try to tug on people. They'll try to, especially women, like in a maternal way, to try to let their presence known. And then you have the green lady, as she's called, because when that murdered lady makes her presence known, she looks green or greenish. Then you'll see her there too. So, and then finally, we visited some of the last spots. We went back to one of the homes that I started at the beginning of the tour. I was able to take more pictures of that spirit room. In fact, you'll see it here, that the one that houses the fan, to try to see if there was anything there. But no, nothing really popped up. Then we visited this other place. If you ever wanted to be at a location that houses a lot of creepy looking dolls, this is it for you. So imagine being stuck in here late at night. There are some hauntings that happen here, apparently, from some of the old ghosts around the town, specifically the children who love these dolls, and so they'll make their presence known, dolls being moved or stuff reappearing elsewhere. That's how it happens there. And then we visited this other location here. It used to be a church. It almost looks like the Amityville home. No, doesn't it? Like the Amityville house horror home with those windows and the arch of the roof. But this home actually houses some shadow people. They make their presence known both inside the home and then outside. Like they also tend to circle the house itself. This got me excited because anything involving shadow people, this was something where I really wanted to see if there was an opportunity of catching one of them here. I did not, unfortunately, within any of the pictures, but I did get some good info from Morticia. The way she stated it was when it was a church, there was a presence there that was pretty bad. And one time there was a vagrant or somebody homeless that broke into the church that tried to steal some of the money there within the church. Well, whoever this thing was, this entity, it definitely was pissed off. It grabbed the vagrant and it threw him out one of the windows. Again, nobody was there within the church, and so this vagrant fell out, and then he was caught afterward trying to do it. But whether it's protecting it or just being a bad entity, who knows? But this is the story associated with church. Interestingly enough, now it's one of those escape rooms. If you go there today, it's one of those escape room places that you can try to get out of. But who knows if you can still encounter these shadow people there to this day. By the way, if you've seen several pictures now, like there's this orb that apparently followed me, or there was a speck of dust on my camera. I tend to clean my camera as often as possible, the lens, to make sure that nothing appears. But I don't know if this was something that was just stuck on my camera, but it clearly looks like there's an orb on the right-hand side of several pictures. Like it's just there fixed. So I don't know the 100%. I don't want to say it's truly an orb, and at the same time I don't want to say it's not. So I'll just leave it as is, but it's up to you to decide. One of the final places we went to was this location. This was a creepy looking field out towards the corner area. This place here houses the ghost of a poor woman, an unfortunate woman that was killed, who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think she came across some robbers, and when the robbers saw her and they realized they have a witness, they decided to rape her and then try to kill her. But in the process, she in turn she was beaten so severely that in the process she started speaking incoherently. They thought that she was becoming possessed, so they said, this is clearly a witch, and so they outright killed her even more so. Like this was something where if they didn't have a reason before, that like a solid reason other than just pure violence, now they thought themselves they had a real reason, and so they killed her by burning her. They burned her alive. And so the way the story goes here in this area, you can see her ghost running around as it's lit on fire. And there are pictures apparently out there that show this too. I was trying to see if I could capture something showcasing that, but not tonight. She did not make her presence known. But what a sight that would be. Imagine being out there and seeing this poor woman on fire, the ghost of her, as she's trying to put herself out. And then next we visited another place. This is a location that houses a lot of outside parties, but the ground houses another story altogether. There's a bunch of graves underneath it. Apparently, I think if I remember correctly, Morticia said it's an old cemetery that apparently if it's less than 100 graves or 50 graves, I can't remember the exact number, then the bodies no longer have to be dug out. So whoever is under there, they are nameless. No one knows who they are. No one is trying to find out who they are. These are just ghosts and spirits that are from those buried bodies. Can you believe that? There you are having a party, and you have no idea that underneath you there's about 50 to 100 bodies that have been there buried who knows how long. But yes, these ghosts will make their appearance known throughout this location too. And then this area here houses another ghost or set of ghosts, in this case from those bodies. Especially on a misty day, you can see them walking towards you from the far corner. So imagine if you're out there in the foggy area and you happen to see that. That'd be a really, really good scary sight to see. And then one of the last places we went to as well was this one, an old school, again converted to a shop. I think it was like an antique store. This one we had another great encounter at this location. We went there and then we had an encounter with some kids that happened to frequent that area. These kids, who knows who they were, but they still apparently love visiting it to this day. I was taking a bunch of pictures there. Bella was able to capture on her camera, like she was taking video, she said, of a ghost child peering over the side of one of the windows. Like it would peer, disappear, peer back, and then disappear. So that was really cool to see as well. I was not able to see it myself, but she was able to capture it there. And then we knocked on one of the windows. Bella did. I'm sorry, in one of the doorways, trying to see if there could be a knockback, and she got a knockback. So that was really interesting too. Nobody there, clearly inside. She knocked, and then something knocked back in the same fashion. I tried to mimic it again to see if something else could do it the very same way, but no, they were not able to. But this was a pretty cool place to find another encounter. Eventually, though, Morticia said that, yeah, these ghosts, they disappeared or they left the children. It brought me back to the same thought I had a few minutes back, where whenever you have ghosts that see you for the first time, they're curious to see you, like these children were. And then afterward, they just became disinterested and left. And then that was pretty much it. By the next stop, we went to one final location nearby our starting point. This other place also houses some old ghosts. I think there was just one ghost within that area, but nothing really that stood out. And then we were finished. So otherwise, really, really fantastic tour of Old Springs Town. Again, I highly recommend, if you have a chance, taking it. You'll find the link below, again within the comments. Ask for Bella, ask for Morticia if you have a chance to, and they have a bunch of other places too. Here's a neat surprise as well. By the end of the tour, I never mention this up front whenever I go on one of these tours, because I don't want anything to, I guess, be swayed any way whatsoever. But I never mentioned that, who I am and that my channel, my YouTube channel, and the stuff I focus on. Instead, I just go in blind as is. I want them to do the tour as if I was just anybody. But when I was about to mention that I run a channel that focuses on this stuff, and that I was going to feature all the stuff that I captured here and all the rich info that they gave me and how well the tour was, I was about to mention that, and they said, "Oh, we know who you are." And I was like, "Really?" And they said, "Yes, we know who you are. You run that channel there on YouTube under William DeFalco, and then you talk about the ghosts, you talk about the cryptids." That was the very first time that has ever happened to me. They said that whenever they saw my name and they saw my information, they looked me up, and then that's when they found the info there, and then that's when they started seeing the videos. They became more familiar with my work, and then this all led, of course, to the tour that eventually I went on. So that was pretty neat. Never ever had that happen where people knew who I was even before I took this tour. So that was pretty cool, a pretty cool sensation to find out. But yes, very awesome tour. Thank you so much, Morticia. Thank you so much, Bella. Also David for the security there. And I again highly recommend it. If you're there in the Houston area, if you live there, take this tour. You won't regret it. If you happen to be visiting, also take this tour. And then they have a bunch of other ones there too. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. Bye.